Yay. Guys, welcome everybody. This is so fun. Happy Thursday. Oh, we're back. We made it. Angela and I were just saying, we're not really countdown. Well, I'm not countdown. Angela, are you countdowny? I'm not countdown.
Sometimes.
Like, countdown
not all the time, but
like different.
This year especially.
Yeah, thank you. Like, I'm not a countdown like 60 days till spring break.
No.
This year, however, I told my students this week, I was like, 5 more Mondays. And all their eyes got kind of big, like above their masks. I was like, yeah, 5 more months. So we are countdown people now. So we're here. We've got a few more weeks, several more weeks, I should say. I know some people go longer than others, but we welcome you to Georgia regardless. 71 degrees where you are. I think, Angela, what is it, 74 where you are? My mom said it was 74.
Yeah, it's been nice today.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Beautiful weather. Welcome. Pollen, if you like it, is here for you. Just you get subtly covered in yellow, not a big deal. Your car covered in yellow throughout the day at work, whatever, it's fine. You just sneeze a lot, it's okay. But we welcome you to our spring webinar series. My name is Meredith White. I teach Spanish 1 and 2 just outside of Atlanta. It is not 46 degrees in Atlanta, but it is in Madison, Wisconsin, Kelly says. So I hate that 46 for literally 71 right now. A little breezy though. It's a chilly 71. That's not a thing. But if it were, we are rocking and rolling right along. I'm super excited to welcome Angela. Angela is my Georgia neighbor about 4 hours away, which is awesome. So we're here. Most of you are not in Georgia. But some of you, like Sarah, used to be in Georgia, which is awesome. And then you went to other places. And then some of you, like Joe, we're going to be here soon for AATSP because it's in Atlanta this year. Guys, come down. Oh my God, it's in person. Guys, we can have Kelly, Sita, Iram, come up. Kelly, come down. We need everybody here. We're going to have stale bagels and gross coffee together. As you can see, Myrna has mentioned Mobile and Kelly mentioned Madison. If you could put in the chat where you find yourself these days, that would be incredible. Or like what you're teaching or supervising or all those kind of things, because we all typically tend to be language teachers, but not necessarily. And so some of us have 6 Mondays more. Some of you have like 74 is what I'm reading from Kelly. So many more weeks. But as we wrap up the school year, we've got about a month and a half, about 6 more weeks of these webinars. And I'm super excited because the topics just keep getting more reflective, I think. And especially with Angela, like she and I have talked about and been in like, workshops and sessions about shifting to comprehensible input, sort of reconceptualizing that, all of those kind of things. So I'm really excited about tonight. Angela, tell us, I know where you find yourself, but tell us where you find yourself and kind of what you're up to.
Sure. Well, I'll go ahead and share.
Yes.
My screen.
Share it all.
Okay. Is everyone able to see?
Yes, it's loading. For me, it's kind of like a color wheel, but give it a second. It's doing it's like loading.
Okay. All right.
Let me see. Maybe. Oh, there we go. Beautiful.
Good. All right. Perfect. So again, I am Angela Williams, and I'm so glad to be here with you guys today. We're going to talk about shifting to CI, just kind of some reflections around that, sharing and using resources deliberately. And so I'm really excited and honored to have this conversation with you all. And my teaching context, I teach Spanish at Garrison School for the Arts, which is a K-8 school in Savannah. And this is my 13th year with the district. So I have been here for a while. I basically taught all levels, K through 12, with the majority of my time in middle school. And so you guys can kind of see some of my pictures here in the pre-COVID times. These are some activities and different things that I would do in my classroom. So I really try to be as hands-on as possible. I really try to create fun, authentic learning experience for the students. And that's my context. That's where I am.
I see your hula hoop Venn diagram.
Oh yeah.
Everything.
Oh, I'm sure. I probably got that from somebody on Twitter somewhere.
Oh, I can't. Right. It's same. Amen. I can't wait till next year. I'm like, I'm pulling out all the manipulative. Let's touch everything.
I miss all of the things that we used to do, but
all of it. We're doing.
We had to adapt and rework and make, hands-on things virtual.
Yep.
And it's been a learning experience, but I'm grateful. We were talking, earlier, we're still teaching, kids still learning.
Yep.
It's going as best as it can go, right?
Yep. Amen.
And so I kind of wanted to just start off with this quote that I came across in an ACTful core practices video. It's actually linked later on. And I just thought it was something really powerful to kind of start the conversation. And so you all can see it says, in successful language teaching, we don't just simply point learners to a textbook and expect language acquisition to occur. And so what my thinking of this was that, we have to really get the students involved. We can't just throw a book in front of them, word list, without any kind of context, without any kind of meaning. And so we really have to make sure that we are personalizing it, making it something that the students want to learn, because, for a lot of kids, they may not have had a good experience in a language class, maybe that was focused more, with the textbook or that, traditional view. And so we really want to make sure that they can feel successful, that they can feel like I can do this, I can learn second, third, fourth, language. And that is something, that's fun. We really want them to enjoy it. And so I really felt that this was a really poignant and reflective quote.
And language is for me. We want them to see, like, this could be for me. This could be cool.
Right.
I could like this. I could be good at this.
Yeah, because so often, a lot of students, they really don't experience a lot of success in school. Yep. And so, our class is just another one, for them to kind of get through, they struggle. And so we really want to make sure that we are really, reaching them as best we can.
Yeah. Another box to check.
Yep. Okay. And then just kind of thinking about the shift to CI. I just kind of wanted to start off here that for many, for many teachers, when, they hear CI or they think about, that term CI, it can be kind of triggering, And so I put 2 points here that we can kind of definitely discuss and, look for some comments in the chat. And so for some, it may actually really challenge their learning experience as a language learner. And so I really thought that that was something that we could touch on. Or they may have had a negative experience at a workshop or a conference, and they just choose to disengage, when they hear that term CI. And I have a post here. This was in one of the Facebook groups that I'm a part of. And the teacher, she had some really great things to say. And I just want to point out a couple of things because it definitely kind of goes along with the points here. She said, I've been thinking about a lot about my own journey to CI. I realized I was having really intense emotional responses to a lot of what was said about the effectiveness of CI, and that she needed to do a couple of things. Number 1, know that accepting the truth that traditional methods didn't work for most students didn't mean that I hadn't learned, even thrived in them. I didn't need to deny my experience to accept that others was different. I really thought that that was such a powerful, such a reflective way to word, her shift into thinking about comprehensible input and realizing, that we don't need to deny our learning path. It worked for us in some sense. And so that's okay. Just because it doesn't always work for the majority of our class or for the majority of our students doesn't mean that we were unsuccessful. And so I really think that for a lot of people, just getting to that realization may be hard. It's really hard to just kind of change from what we're used to, and especially if you were successful, And so I really think that, her wording it this way really could help, a lot of people realize that I don't have to give up the way I learned it, just to be able to reach these kids. I can still, love grammar. I can still, kind of have this kind of approach, as long as I'm on the path to growing, I'm on the path to learning. It's not this zero sum game. And so I think, for a lot of, teachers and a lot of just the ways of thinking about things, it can just be so binary. And, there's not a lot of room to kind of play with that gray in the middle. So I really love the way that she worded it. In the bottom, she says that I needed to make space to grieve about the loss of language teaching being what I thought it would be. And so again, that's just another just really powerful reflection as to how for some people, this paradigm shift to comprehensible input can be so great. And, again, depending on their experience, depending on colleagues, depending on trainings, that can really affect how people just really view, comprehensible input. We can talk all day about how people go back and forth on Twitter, go back and forth in the Facebook group about, this method and this approach. And, it was fine for me, so it should be fine for them. And, they're really projecting, their experiences. And so I really think, it's good to just take a step back and really think about it, from the student's perspective, which can be really hard to envision.
Absolutely. Well, and to me, to recognize the nuance, like you said, there are so many other aspects of, like, it's not binary. I mean, that's the perfect word for it. Like, so many people are like, it's this or this. And like your second bullet point, like, may have had a negative experience. Like, I know several people who had a super negative experience at like a whoever workshop. And now they're like, it's a cult. And you're like, yeah, it's not a cult. I think it's just like a way of staying comprehensible and, like as whatever. And it's funny but I totally get how they would think that, because what they experience, like their truth is their truth. And they're like, no, that was, stifling. That was shocking, and like she mentioned with the grief, like, no, I'm going to have to say goodbye to something that I truly, truly value. And it sounds like to me, you're saying I can't do whatever, this and this and this thing that I love very much and that were integral to my learning, maybe even. So I hold them dear to my heart. How am I supposed to teach now? What do I do? Right. Like, I totally get that.
It's like rebuilding your whole mindset around it. Yep. And, for some people, they just can't make that shift. Like, as some people they're going to jump in, they're going to figure it out as they go. Some people just can't do it. It takes them a while and, they got to see it and, they have to go through every little piece to just try to get it perfect. And that can
other people really jarring about that. Like other people go, Angela, what's the problem? Hurry up, like figure it out. And they're like still processing, like, hold on, I just need some more time. But I think sometimes in teaching, we give this like the sense of urgency, like, hurry up, Janine, come on, like figure it out. Let's go, Joe. And it's like, well, hold on. I'm still kind of, again, like grief. Yeah. Like processing loss and processing addition. Like I've maybe lost some things and I'm adding some things, which is cool, but like, I need a second because this maybe isn't kind of what I saw this looking like. I just need a second.
Yeah. And two, adding with that, if you don't have, say, supportive colleagues or, your district may be kind of going through some things and, that can also, have that effect. And, some people just like, nope, I'm going to stick with what I know. This works. And so that's their path. And, some people also, they may see, CI as one thing, I went this workshop, this is CI, if I don't do it this way, I'm not in the CI club. And, you can just get into these camps,
100%. Or if I don't have this personality, I can't, you know what I mean? Like if I'm not like so-and-so, I'm doing it wrong. And it's like, there is no doing it wrong. Like you're enough for your students. It's fun. Like whatever you do is going to be good enough. That's just one example. You don't have to do that. Like you don't have to have you don't have to do something that doesn't feel like it's you.
Right. And that's why I love, with Twitter, with the highlight reel hashtag, and not REEL, REAL. So, you can really see that, activities and things don't always work the way we want it to. Sometimes you have a bad day. Sometimes, you just really need to get this information to the students, and teaching it explicitly or directly may be the best in this way for your kids today, And so,
amen.
A lot. So yeah, I really thought that was a very powerful way of just really expressing how, some people may be resistant or seem resistant to the shift, and just really just that thought process that they might be going through that they might not even realize themselves. And so it was so awesome, to be able to see it worded this way, because I think, a lot of people may agree with this, but they don't quite, know how to express it themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or feel like they can without being like,
she's a Latin teacher, so this is like coming from a Latin teacher, which definitely traditional grammar textbook, like, yeah.
Absolutely. Or you feel like you're doing it wrong. You see all these people like post and you're like, I didn't do that. Did I do it badly? Whatever. Like, do it the best you can.
Yeah. And so, just more food for thought. You can see I've got Diego Ojeda there, and then Dr. Gianfranco Conti. And so what he says here, those reluctant to CI just because their way works just fine. Again, it goes back to what we were just saying, it can work, it can work okay, but in the context, of being, efficient, really making sure that we are using like brain-friendly approaches. That is where, the comprehension-based communicative language has been shown, in research to really, really hit that mark. And so, again, just food for thought, things to consider. And this is just again, more of a screenshot from research side as far as input that kids get in L1 that is very difficult, hours, seat time, we can't always match that in the classroom. And so I love what he says here as far as meaningful, impactful, repetitive, because these are things that we've seen and what we know really, really work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and like you said, food for thought. I think sometimes the dog is shaking behind me. He's like shaking his entire body. And then now he's leaving. Thank goodness. I think like you said, we see, I don't know, we see people like tweet a thing or retweet a thing or share a thing, whatever. And it's like just food for thought. Like sometimes you're just going like, just a thing to think about. Just put it out there, whatever, agree, disagree, whatever. The more thoughts we can get together, kind of the stronger we are. Because you say something and I go, oh, wow, that's, yeah, absolutely. Or Abby says something and I'm like, oh, I never thought about that. Okay. Like, amazing. Like the work, we really are better together. But sometimes it is some of those uncomfortable points where you're like, I think I disagree.
And that's okay.
Get this together. Right. Like, let me get this together. Let me get my thoughts together. And then like, do I respond? I don't know. I guess so. And that's okay.
Yeah. And so, that's, again, where you see a lot of just that division, between CI versus grammar. Like it doesn't have to be that way.
Yes, right.
But we make it that way, so.
And then you see and then you see people share activities and you go, no, wait, I do that. And they're like, well, yeah, I do that. And you're like, so we're not that different. Okay. Why did you think, but we do that to ourselves? It's like Brene Brown says, the story I'm telling myself is blank. So like when you shared blah, 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 I thought you meant you were
right. And then, once we have those, deeper conversations and really, that, on social media don't always happen, it get lost in the thread or you get lost in the comments and, we just really, really, have to, I mean, some people just really have to experience it themselves. Like you can tweet all day, you can post all day, but no, they have to just get in there, do it. And, light bulbs go off.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so just for me personally, how did I make the shift to like teaching with CI principles? Well, it started with just visiting colleagues in my district. We have Berta Delgadillo. So those that know her, she is in my district. So I was able to just visit her classroom. And we also have Sarah Downey as well. They they were kind of like the CI pioneers in SPSS.
Y'all
And
make
so
me
I was
sick.
able to visit their classrooms, and I really got to see, what their students were doing with the language at, say, level 1, level 2. And it was just so mind blowing. It's like, wait, what? Like, what level is this? Like, they're doing this? And it just felt so natural. And so, just really seeing it, just seeing the kids interact with them, and the language that they were actually using. Like, wait, past tense in level 1? Like, really?
Right.
They understand? And again, it's not something that you may be consciously thinking about if you have taken the traditional approach. Textbook level 2 typically is, where you see past tense. And so, just really seeing them, talking with them, really just kind of got the wheels turning for me. And then just trying out different strategies in my classroom from, social media. Like, I'll see somebody, post something, or I'll see this activity, and, oh, I like that. How can I, make that work in my context? And so, again, just really thinking about the why. Why are we doing this? What is the communicative goal? What do I want the students to be able to actually accomplish? And so, just constantly revising, constantly reflecting, just really thinking about, okay, in what context would this make sense in the real world? Sometimes, it can seem artificial, because we are in the classroom, but if we are really careful, to design our task and design what we're doing, students can still use that language for real world, authentic contexts.
Absolutely. Well, and like you said, like deciding your goals. So like backward design, but also in a group. Like, what's your, if as Katrina Griffin says, the best PD is down the hall, or if it's not for you, right? Like, sometimes it's like, like, these people are not, like, I really fundamentally disagree with what these people are doing. But how can we still make at least some goals together? Like, while we have to be together, how can we look and say, here are, sort of communicative goals as a group? Like, if it's individually, okay, great, for sure, for the specific level. But, if you're on a big team or in a big department or working with the middle school, lower levels, upper levels, whatever it is, like, whatever the alignment is, what are you doing together? We're not functioning as our own, like, we're not it. There are other people involved in what we're doing.
Very important point. And also too, just really, just really having those conversations with colleagues, that can be, really difficult depending on your situation. And so, really just, again, what are your goals? What is the point? Yeah, you may teach it this way, I may teach it this way, but can our students do the same things? And so, again, those are things to, just really think about. And, we don't have to constantly feel like we're fighting this battle, with our colleagues. Some of them, they may never want to come over to, teaching with CI principles. I mean, we can't change that, can we? Right. And so some of them, they're gung-ho, they want to do it as soon as they find out about it. And so it's just really finding that balance.
Absolutely. Well, and ultimately, when they treat it kind of like a methodology like that, which it isn't, you go, okay, so you don't ever want to be comprehensible? And they're like, well, no, of course I do. And it's like, well, okay, well, I have some strategies that might work for you. Like, I have some specific activities that might help you be more comprehensible more often. Right. And that's really hard to argue, but you're right. There are some people who are just going to be like, yeah, no, I'm not interested. Thanks. Whatever you're sharing. You could share entire units, lessons minute by minute, test quiz, the whole night. You could share all of it, and they would be like, no, thank you. Okay. Well, then whatever. Like,
yeah, I mean, at some point, you can't just constantly keep giving and keep forcing. They have to come to it on their own.
That's it.
And so, just have to let the results, let what your students doing, the task, you just have to let that speak for itself.
Yeah.
And another thing that really helped to just kind of really solidify shifting to CI for me is just my personal experience learning Mandarin. And so, when I first started learning about CI, visited Berta, visited Sarah's classroom, again, I'm in the moment, it's making a lot of sense. I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I should be doing. And then, I stopped to think, I said, if I'm really going to be authentic in this CI journey, I need to put myself in my student shoes. I should learn a language through CI. And I didn't want to use a Romance language because, there's so many cognates, and it's just a lot easier, to already speak a Romance language. So I said, let's just go completely out of my comfort zone. Let's try Mandarin. And so I was able to find a Mandarin teacher that taught with CI. We did a lot of movie talks and TPRS. And so I was really able to feel from the student perspective what it was like. And so it's like when I needed her to go slower, when I needed her to repeat, I needed her to pause and point, I needed her to do these things. And so in my head, I'm thinking, this is what I need to do and be like for my students. And so again, things may seem so easy to us because, we may have been speaking the language for a number of years. Oh, this should be easy. They should know this. This is like English. They should know this. But, a lot of those strategies and a lot of those connections, you can't always make in the moment, and I found that out, learning, especially with Mandarin, with the writing system and the reading, is character based. And so if you don't know the characters, it's very hard to, try to use any other resources to help. And so it just really kind of puts you in the mindset of a beginning level student with no background in the language. And it just really helps you to see, how slow you need to go, what activities, kind of resonate more with you. When did you get excited about it?
Right.
And it really, really was a big mind shift for me, experiencing it through the lens as a student so that I could be a better teacher.
Absolutely. Well, and like you said, like not a cognate language, because Terry Waltz will often present and tweet and post on social media about different aspects as a Chinese teacher, where she's like, hold on, everybody who teaches a Romance language that's 40% cognates, she's like, hold on, not the same for character languages. And always makes like a lot of really incredible points. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. That's like kind of a privileged aspect of language, that we teach, is like, oh yeah, that's such and such looks like, whatever. So it's, a great point.
Yeah. And so, just really keeping that, in the back of your mind that, that especially with, lower levels, beginning level students, they, depending on their home language, if, English is not their home language, that, certain things that we just expect for them to know or expect for them to be able to do, that might take learners longer depending on their facility, with English. So again, food for thought, something to think about.
Absolutely.
Okay, and so this is kind of going back to what we just talked about as far as encouraging teacher buy-in. Just, show what your students are able to do. You may have some of those reticent colleagues that, they're like, no, I don't want anything to do with CI. Like, nope, sorry, textbook, this is working for me. And so, just really showing, and you don't have to do it like in a bragging way, but, hey, did you see what my kids did? Like, you don't have to word it like that, but just really, if y'all have common assessments, or if, there was a task that was really meaningful, that you did in your room with students, you could show your colleagues and say, or, you could present it as, hey, could you look at this? How would you grade this? What do you think this should be? What could we do here? And, that could get the wheels turning and really start opening up conversation, with that teacher or teachers, and, really promoting, student success. And so, you may have your students in different competitions or language contests, and again, not bragging about it, but really, really showing, that student growth and the student opportunities to be successful and participate. That honestly, they might come and say, hey, how'd you get this? Or how'd you get this student to do this? Or, whoa, I saw this writing task that you had outside of your door. What'd you do? And so, that could definitely get them to, come to you to start asking, which is why I have this question here, how are your students able to accomplish this? That's really what, at the gist, that's really what you kind of want them to ask you, so that you can say, well, and then you can go into your strategy spiel and, talk about, what's working and,
some things.
That would be something that, they would at least listen to. And I mean, you never know, they might not show it then, or they might not be ready for it then, but, the next year, definitely try something, or, you never know, how people are going to respond. And so you just definitely don't want to come off as, oh, look what my kids did. Can yours do this? Like
right. Yeah, that's true. That's a fast path to, like, I hate you'ville from your colleagues, is like, did you see what mine? I think I've told you this. When I first interviewed for Windsor, they asked me in the interview, they said, are you trained in TPRS?
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, which was, I had not been. I didn't know what they meant. I was like, trained? I don't know what that's asking. So sure. And then I got there, and yeah, everybody was using like stories, Blaine Ray, like the Green Bible, everything. And I was like, like, what's going on? Because all of these students in level 1 and 2 were like, blah, 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 like just all over the place. And I was like, oh no, I was not trained in this. Like, help. Get me out of here.
And even too, just really talking about like expectations, like, okay, for the end of this unit, what do we expect the students to be able to do, know, what should, and if you come to some common ground with that, then it may not necessarily matter at that point, how this teacher got them there versus how you got them there, and so you don't always have to feel like, oh, they're doing it wrong, they're not CI.
That's true.
That just really causes more division, And so just really, if you, have those colleagues that may be interested, but they aren't quite sure of where to start, they're not quite ready to jump in fully, just kind of ease them into some things. Because again, for some people, it just may take time.
Yeah, that's true.
And here, just a couple of notes about really thinking and sharing, using resources deliberately. This is definitely a big topic that, we could, spend all day, discussing. But, there's just so much out there as far as materials for language learners. And there's a big push now to really think about centering, like whose voice is being centered, and how these resources may perpetuate negative stereotypes. And, I see a lot of conversations happening on Twitter about, is this resource appropriate, or, we shouldn't use this because, and I really think that, these are important conversations that, really open the door to that, critical analysis that sometimes we don't always do. And, that really leads into really choosing our resources intentionally. And so I've got a little comment here, that it's just so easy to select things, or to select materials, or select activities that are convenient. We may not even think about, critically, like, what is this resource saying? Who is this resource really about? Is it othering, or is it showing a perspective that we don't necessarily want to advocate for? And so I really think, especially with social media and, other resource sharing websites, it's just so easy. Oh, I like that, I'll do that. And you're not even really thinking about, okay, what is this resource showing my students? Can my students even see themselves in this? And so that's why I have the note there, just to seek multiple perspectives, knowing that the perspectives may differ,
Mm-hmm.
just because, people are in, say, one country, or, they're part of this target culture, doesn't mean that they all think the same way. And so I think that that's also a point to consider, especially as, we find authentic resources, with authentic documents or
Mm-hmm.
videos or text that doesn't represent every person, of said country, or, of said target culture. I think, a lot of times we think, oh, Spanish is this big monolith, German is the same thing. And so just really kind of having that critical reflection, which is so much better with other people.
Absolutely. Mm.
And it's not always easy. I've heard you say several times, you pay for this, you spent your money, like you purchased this,
Ooh, we
love
make
it.
$7 a year. I spent free on this resource.
Yeah. And so it may be so hard to step away from it when you
Yeah.
have that, that personal investment into it. Or it may be hard to see how something may be problematic, even though it could be marketed as useful in CI classrooms, or, so I just really think that, we should take time to just really, evaluate and really reflect on, what we are using with our students, and whose voice is being shared, and just really keeping that in the forefront of our mind, because it's not always something that, is easy to think about. It's not always something that people like to do, but it's
Right.
so necessary, especially, now with so much going on in so many places, and so many things are happening, not just, in the United States, our countries, other places as well.
Yeah.
And so just really helping give voice to those that may not have traditionally had space, and just really helping your students see that, Spanish language, Spanish culture, it doesn't just mean Mexico, it doesn't just mean this, there's a whole range of people and cultures and practices and products and perspectives that, can share, that represent authentic spaces and authentic voices. And so
go ahead. Go ahead now, please.
Yeah, so I really think, that as we shift, more so from, using just the strict textbook, what the textbook says and what the textbook has, and really widening, our resource library, again, just having those critical conversations.
Man, well, I was just gonna agree. Yeah, it was like I couldn't, I couldn't stop the agreement train. Yeah, absolutely. And like Salika said in the chat, like stop the sombreros. Like we've got to look at the narratives that we're pushing, but also like when and Tasha Buccioni and I have had this conversation, like in person and on Twitter, like we've like FaceTimed about it, where I'm like, dude, Adrian Brandenburg has posted about it. When you fund a lot of your own classroom library by choice, or by like you have to, I don't know what the opposite of by choice or by force, I guess. And so you're looking down the barrel of what, a couple hundred, few $100s of your own money, and then you find something problematic, you're like, dude, like what do I do now? I don't know, but you better figure it out, like whatever it is, because it really is upsetting. Like you thought you were, like I look at your second bullet point, you thought you were choosing resources intentionally, and you were looking at the structures, and you were doing all the things good teachers do, and you were saying like, no, this hits the preterite, we're gonna get like, it's gonna talk about cooking, and they travel, and these lovely children go to whatever, whatever the storyline is, but then you find something that you're like, well, I cannot use this. And it's almost like a grieving process. You almost hit all the emotions where you're like, I'm kind of pissed. I'm also sad because I really like this book and I have stuff for it. But also, it's this whole like cycle of those emotions. But I think you're exactly right with that third bullet point. Seek multiple perspectives and be okay with what they're about to tell you.
Yes, and that is excellent to add because, again, for, language learning, it can just be so personal, depending on your
So
experience,
personal.
where you traveled, what you studied. So, we can get immediately defensive about things.
Yes.
And, we may not even know why, why are we getting so defensive? What is it? And so I think just really getting at the heart of that sometimes can really help people to, again, have that critical reflection and that critical analysis of things. And, again, just going back to the shift to comprehensible input, what makes you so defensive about not embracing this? Again, did you have a negative experience? Were you successful, learning through a textbook?
Right.
So all of it, is all connected, I believe.
Absolutely. Well, and what's your own feelings of self-efficacy in the language? John Bracey last week was saying, or 2 weeks ago today, sorry, they all blend together. Like every day I'm like, what day is it, kids? And the kids are like, I don't know, day. Okay, great. Happy whatever day today is. No, 2 weeks ago today, because I remember it was April Fool's, had said too how successful he was in Latin classes. And then like, as he was preparing to be a Latin teacher was like, I don't know much Latin. Like, help, like that kind of a thing. Like, and he was like, you will not hear me use Latin in front of other Latin teachers today, period. Like he was super vulnerable and like super called himself out of like, I'm not going to do it. I've been embarrassed. I've been like, it's too much for me to like feel these things. And all of that affects, exactly like you're saying, affects how we teach, affects what we use, affects what we choose, affects how we treat our students, how they react to what we like, the lessons that we like, that we think will like, that we use, and all those kind of things. It's so personal. And we say like, Kelly, don't take it personally. Abby, don't take it personally. This stuff is personal.
We
like,
do.
Are you kidding me? Don't take it personally. Okay, well, I did. So too late.
And, I don't know how we can not make it personal, it's just it's so ingrained and it's just so hard to separate yourself from that. And I don't know if we can ever not make it personal,
Well, and like Kelly said in the chat too, like some of the problems in some of the materials go unnoticed because of a teacher's language level or experience or study abroad experience or lack thereof. Like there's so many personal experiences that native speaker, non-native speaker, heritage speaker, like whatever the status is, and then whatever the cultural knowledge is married to a native speaker, that's going to add a nuance that's interesting and like going to add a little something that maybe others don't have. So all of these things can contribute to feeling some kind of way about your own language skills, and that 100% affects how comprehensible you are, what you choose to teach, how all of it, like literally all of it.
Yeah. So again, it's just, just an ongoing thought process. I'm constantly reflecting on these type of things. I see so much, between Twitter and Facebook. And again, it's even, like you said, with people that, are part of that target language community, but they themselves may have issues or problems, with the language or not feel as comfortable speaking the language themselves. And so you can imagine, as a non-native teacher, as a non-native speaker, it's like multiplied,
Absolutely. Well, I mean, yeah, this is my 20th year Spanishing, and still people use the preterite in certain ways. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Same.
I'm like, oh, is that what we do there? Estuvo? Okay, hate that. Next. I'm going to keep using era. I'm going to keep saying fue. Great.
Same. And so, you just bringing up a great point, that we can't, just like get mad at students, for making, what we consider to be, common, mistakes that they should know.
After 2 semesters.
Yeah, like there's no way. We can't hold them to that. And so it's all connected. It's all connected.
Poor things. I said to my colleague today, I said something and I was like, poor? And then I was like, wait, para? Poor? Para. And then we laughed because I was like, and we both know that you're in that unit right now. Like, and we're expecting 16-year-olds to do like 30 sentences of like, with a blank, like blank tea, para tea, poured tea. Like, well, hold on. Let me read the first part. I don't know. Yeah, 100%.
I have done it. I will admit.
Same. Done it. Have those copies. Like, they're in my drive, whatever.
Red pen and everything.
And she looked at me like, well, obviously it was Prada. And I was like, no, not obviously. Like, I asked you because I didn't know. Jimena, I have been Spanishing for 20 years and I still ask you stuff every day. And she was like, oh, like totally inconvenienced. I was like, well, this is why you're in my life, because I don't know things. So
yep, perfect. And so I just got some resources to just share again with you all. Several podcasts. If you're familiar with Ashley Uyuwari and her Inspired Proficiency, great podcast. Episode 9 in particular talks about shifting to CI and just more of that mindset paradigm shift. This is the ACTFL webinar that I had alluded to earlier with the quote from the very beginning. It's free, so you can watch it. It's embedded here. And then Sarah Breckley, if you know who she is, she is a big ball of fun. I love how she really relates, and just she uses humor to her point across. And so this was a video that she did about explicit grammar, target language, CI, stories, just all kinds of topics and themes, for you to explore. The We Teach Languages podcast is also one of my favorites by Dr. Stacey Margarita Johnson. And I specifically noted episode 18, 49, as well as 66, because they touch on either shifting to CI, resource use, any of the things that were relevant to my talk here. So definitely check those out. And then if you are looking for Facebook groups for world language teachers, some of the ones that I found to be really impactful as far as not just the conversations, but sharing resources or just some of the dialogue and discussions that happen. I have them linked here. So you're more than welcome to peruse, take what you like, think about what you don't like, help reflect. We're all in this together. So you guys certainly take those. And
welcome to the ACTFL.
Y'all can watch that. As we get ready to, just kind of wrap up, I wanted to just leave you all with this, again, food for thought, this quote that I really, really thought was relevant. How much longer are we going to keep playing this game where we complain about the way we were taught and then don't make meaningful changes to the way we teach? We, in this case, mean the education community at large. And so you know how it goes. We complain about things, we hated this, or, I didn't learn it this way, or things like that. But then we're doing the same thing. And so again, it just goes back to that reflection piece, okay, at what point am I going to stop complaining and talking about it and actually do something? And so again, your journey may be very different from others, but I really think that this quote is just kind of one of those like in your face. It really makes you think about it. And it's something that, can cause strong reactions, but it really is reflective in the sense that, wow, I really need to think about, am I really doing the most effective, the most efficient things for my students in this moment? Or am I just trying to get through the day? Because again, both are relevant, both are valid, especially in, these COVID times. Some of us have virtual kids, some of us have virtual and kids in person at the same time. We're just trying to get through the day. And so, it's hard for all of us, it's hard all around. And so, if, you need to take the summer to really kind of revisit some of these things, then, by all means, do it.
Well, and I think that's true. And I think it's hard. I mean, obviously we know that's true. I think what's hard is reflecting on how we actually learned, because I think as we get further from it, we forget a little bit. And so when I had a colleague recently say, I said something where it was like, oh, it was like the impersonal say, but it wasn't, but it was like that. And I don't remember what the example was. And I said, well, you know, it's like when you teach them or when you show them, because those are different verbs, right? Like when you expose them to whatever it was. And she was like, oh, so do you teach the, and I don't remember what she said, because I'm like, I swear I'm like a super grammar word nerd, but I was like, what are you saying? Like I had to like lean in and I was like, I don't know the words you're saying right now. And she was like, so you teach them like the transitive protocol, like that's what it sounded like to me. And I was like, I'm wordy nerdy, but like I have no idea what you just did with your face. Like I don't know what those words were. And it was like some kind of like, the example, I go, oh yeah, the whatever, like the, you know, da da da. And she was like, yeah, that's called the, and then it was whatever the first thing she said was. And I was like, okay, well, didn't know it had a name. And I could tell she was surprised, but I also recalled my own Spanish teacher who I would go, when the AP test was still grammar, and it would literally say, use the plus, you know, use the preterite to whatever. And I'd like call out to her in the practice workbook, hey, what's the preterite? And she'd go, did, ate. And I was like, oh, okay, I already did it. You know, or I'd go, what's the conditional? And she'd be like, would. I was like, okay. So I remembered like, I don't know the names for things. Sorry. I just know what they say. And she was kind of taken aback, but that's the thing we have with our colleagues, right? Is we start to, when we reflect on these things, we start revealing our own proficiency. We start revealing our own learning experience. We start revealing what we value. And some people, when they go, ooh, Kelly, you don't like Spanish like I like the Spanish. And it's like, no, I do it. I love Spanish just like you do. Yeah, but not in the same way. Here we go. Now we fight. You know, like,
that's the same thing.
Now we fight. Yep. Bring it on.
So it's just really, you know, just really valuing other people's experience and not having to feel like, oh, you know what, I'm superior because I know these grammar terms and you don't. I mean, these are real things, you know, that you're struggling with. This is crazy, you know? And I mean, it's like, why are we doing this to ourselves, you know?
Right. Absolutely.
And so again, as we, you know, wind down, you know, we'll have some more time for questions in a few minutes, but I just want to say thank you guys for coming. This has been such a really valuable and fun discussion. I can't wait to catch up in the chat because I have not had any time to look at the chat. I really want to see, you know, what you all were saying. I'm sure there were some fabulous things being said. So if you're on Twitter, you can connect with me. I retweet a lot of things. I share things. You might see some videos or activities every now and then from my students. And so I'm just, again, so happy to have been able to be with you all tonight. It's been so much fun. I'm just, you know, grateful for Meredith for even having this concept of having so many teachers, you know, from so many different content areas and backgrounds and languages and just so many, you know, she has all the things. You know, this is
nobody said no. It was like, will you? That'd be great. Yeah, no, please. Angela, I'm so grateful for you. And I'm so grateful you're here in Georgia. I know it's like people like on Twitter will like share stuff. And I'm like, you know, she's with me, right? We're here in the same place. We're here. I get to be with her. I get to be in the same state. So we're all super lucky to have you. You didn't miss anything in the question in the chat, except for in terms of questions, but just some really great points, but also like really relatable content, because I feel like and obviously you guys like in the chat can contribute, you know, we can still see you, etc. But like, I feel like what it comes down to, Angela, like you just said, is when we were laughing, like, this is real. Like, this is the stuff that divides entire departments. But then we laugh about the same stuff. I often joke that language teachers joke about the same things. Like, we'll all laugh about Serenastar, Compose, like, I don't know, besides French and Spanish, I don't know what else people argue over. But like, those are the things that people like, like Kelly said, like come literally to fisticuffs, like in meetings, and don't talk for years. Like, I've been in departments where like Janine and Christina haven't talked in years, like actual years. And you're like, so we just don't like, so what about Giovanna? Does she talk to anybody? And they go, oh yeah, she's nice. And you're like, okay, Abby, does she? Yeah. So Abby and Giovanna are really nice. Kelly's the worst. Okay, great. You know, like sounds like Kelly. No, like what can I say? Joe, oh, he's not even here half the time. He takes all his personal days. No, I'm kidding. I just wanted to see your face. Joe's gone every other day. But that's the thing. Like that's how and then those narratives start where we go, oh, Giovanna's mean. Kelly's an easy teacher. Iram is even easier. And now, like now that they get Dr. Perotti Brown and they go to Kelly, oh, thank goodness she's the easy teacher. And they, oh, Miss Gutierrez, you know, like thank goodness she's easy too. No, not Miss Cappy. She's the worst. And it's like, well, wait a second. Like they do us dirty and they lie and they know exactly what they're doing.
And then we do it to each other.
And then we do it to each other. Like you're like, I knew you were the worst. Oh, we've all been guilty of it, either on like the receiving end or the giving end. But it really does, like it starts getting in your head because it's like what you tell yourself is happening. But when you just get in your colleagues' classrooms, like, right, Kelly, like they suck us into their drama and their lies. Like all of a sudden you're like, really, Miss Carava doesn't do any quizzes? No quizzes. You know, and you're literally looking at Janine's grade book and you can see she gives like 12 quizzes. And you're like, I bet she's lying though. Because they say she doesn't do any quizzes. Like the friggin', oh, they're the worst and they're the best at the same time. But like, they totally suck us into their BS. And then we're like we start believing kids over colleagues. And then it to me, it trickles down into our materials, our assessment. It's literally everything. It's like poison.
It's all together.
It metastasizes into like all of these other areas. And suddenly you're like, I don't know, but no one can work with Iram. And it's like, well, yeah, because you made her feel like crap like 700 times. And she's done being vulnerable to everybody.
Right.
And so is so-and-so. So now you have 7 different people instead of collaborating, close their doors and go, nope, I'm good.
And then somebody has that label that they're the CI teacher. Oh,
yeah. That's the one who uses the stories, you know. And it's like, this is so stupid. Why are we doing this? Like, why? But we do it. We do it to each other.
It's so real. It's so relatable.
Too real.
And like I said, we're on here laughing about it now.
We have to laugh or else we'll cry because we're like, like, absolutely. Or you get billed as like, right, Kelly, like you said, like actual factions in department. I mean, I'm in Gwinnett County. Like, we've got people who their entire department is, you know, like, really working hard on being comprehensible, and then other entire schools who were like, that doesn't seem real. And then it's like, that's it. What? But we have like 1 million schools of 1 million people, so it's really hard to go, okay, well, that's probably not effective. Who can keep up? It's too many people. Right. It's too much to keep track of.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Ugh, we do it to each other. Why do we do that? I don't know. I'm still convinced that, what's that one, what did we do at Lil? Oh, Strengths Finder. When I did the Strengths Finder with a couple of different colleagues, right? Thank you. Joe and Kelly both like, yeah, Strengths Finder, incredible. Like, it's kind of an expensive book, but totally worth it. And you get like the Strengths Finder test, like the code to go on the website and like fill out your test or whatever. Between that and the Enneagram that I did in like the Lil leadership program, I was like, I've learned more about myself in 4 days than I have like ever as a teacher. I'm going to link it for you, Ardam. It's like, it's a book and it's super good. And it not only tells you your strengths, but it tells you how you work with other people's strengths. So like, if I know my strengths are, oh, Joe, I bet you had woo. Kelly, I bet you had woo too. No, not a woo. I was super jealous of the people who had woo. Like, in my mind, it was like, woo, but it was like, woo. Like, you can woo people. I really wanted that, and that wasn't one of my strengths. But mine were like really obvious. If I told you mine, you'd be like, okay, ridiculous. But it was like, I took mine to the leadership workshop, and then what we did was we spread out by strengths. And so like you worked with people super similar to you, and then you flip-flopped and you were like, the hell? Like, what are these people? Like, what is their deal? Because they were motivated in totally different ways. And it was like, ew, why are you the way you are? And but it was so informative because it was like, oh my God. Like, no, right. Thank you, Joe. Like, it's to woo. It's the verb. I didn't know until I was like, woo. They were like, stop putting your hands up. It's not what that is. At the workshop. Thanks, Paul Sandrock. Like, Paul Sandrock had to go, put your hands down. I was like, you're actful and you just told me to put my hands down. Fair. I needed to put my hands down. But like when you have your strengths, it's also your weaknesses at the same time, because like you're grappling with other people. I'm telling you, that with a few colleagues and then that with some people that I was like collaborating with, world of difference. Incredible. Between the Strengths Finder and the Enneagram, I was like, oh, this is why I am the way I am. And you are the way you are. Never mind. Like I take back all the intent I thought you were ascribing. I take back like Angela, like you said before, like you can share endless resources with some people and they're like, no, I'm okay. I'm not interested. Like understanding why people are that way. If I go, Giovanna, like here, like take everything. And she's like, I'm okay. Why though? Like I already made it. Don't you want, anyway, no, it's fantastic. Parker had mentioned in the chat, for someone who's been trying to move away from explicit grammar and like textbooks, what's your advice to keep moving towards, keep continuing to deliver comprehensible input and trying new techniques instead of feeling overwhelmed and then reverting back to what's comfortable?
Yeah, what I would say is just find like maybe one or two strategies that really resonate with you, that you feel like would resonate with your students, and that you get, just really comfortable doing like those one or two things really well, and then maybe adding something else. So I've got a colleague in my building. She wouldn't consider herself CI, as we do, right. But she definitely is moving, on that path. And so she found, that she really loved movie talks. And so, she used this year to just really get good at movie talks. And so next year she said, oh, I want to try something else. And so for her, she's kind of going piece by piece until she, really feels more comfortable, using the target language more in class and just getting more familiar with some of the strategies. And so, I just say start small. It can be so easy to, like you see everything on Twitter, you want to try everything from Facebook. And so it's just so easy to get overwhelmed. Like, no, I'm just going to go back, to what I know.
Right.
And
screw it. I'm going to go back to page 38. Ugh, it's already made for me. I'm going to plug in too. Keith Toda, you can't have him. He's ours. So don't even think about it. He's an incredible, I know. Love Keith so much. He's amazing. He's like 4 miles away from me here in Gwinnett. And so he and Bob and Miriam and Rachel and whatever, the friggin' dream team, have like 8,000 Latin teachers. Okay, fine. It's like 7, but it's like also 6 more than we have. And we have the same like amount of population. So they're incredible. And this, the blog post that I just pasted in there is exactly like you said. It's like, individual. Yes, Kelly Seta. I mean, listen, they do what they do. They probably take after the Spanish teacher in Georgia. No, I'm just kidding. We all follow them. He posted this whole like thing of CI reading strategies, and he calls it like, it's like pre, during, and post, much more of the latter. But, like each one that's hyperlinked has a how-to and like how he's done it and certain examples and all that kind of thing. So the blog post is like my bookmarked like favorite lesson planning thing ever, because it's not just reading. It'll also work for other modes. And it's like no prep, low prep. Keith is the most like laid back, like go with the flow guy, but also highly intentional, highly like systematic. He's not just like, hey, whatever. No, we have an end goal. Like he is so good. He's such an excellent teacher. But all of these things are really like well explained and like examples given. Seriously, book. I'm going to paste it again just because I can. There you go. Pasted and entered. Like bookmark it, because sometimes, like you just said, Angela, same thing. I started with movie talk. I started with like a couple of like weekly routines, like jaja jueves, música martes, and then I moved on like for like a whole semester. That was the only, and then I was like back to page 38. Like I'm not, listen, I'm going to branch out, but I'm not going to branch out that far because I've got stuff we got to do. Like I already have materials and I can't get fired and I can't lose my mind. So this is just kind of like where we are right now. And that was one of the things was, working with teams and some of those reading strategies.
So if you find, like calendar talk, a lot of people they start with calendar talk or like, asking students, how was your day? What'd you do yesterday? Anything fun coming up? Birthdays, things like that, just to start the conversation. And then as you find more strategies that you like, ways to present materials like picture talks or things like that. Yeah, start with just one thing and then just keep adding a little more once you get comfortable.
Amen. Yeah, literally activity by activity. And then I think you feel less overwhelmed or feel less like comparative if you've seen some like big comprehensible input personalities and you're like, oh, I have to be like Janine. No. I have to be like Kelly. No, like you can do it however you're going to do it. It's okay. Just try it one activity at a time. I found like that was easier as well.
Yeah, same with me. Again, I walk into Bertha's room and she's doing 50 million things. I walk into Sarah's room, she's doing 50 million things.
Damn it, you guys. Slow down. Yeah, same. I was coming from like textbook central where it was like, come on, what am I? But again, my first interview, you trained? Yeah, for sure. Like lied without knowing I was lying. But then several years later was like, I should check this out because there was something to this, but you'll make yourself crazy trying to try everything or trying to do what you think you're supposed to do. And Alicia Cardenas is amazing about posting like exactly that on the Martina Beck's. Like if you bought her curriculum, the Somos page, she will often say like, stop trying to do what you think you're supposed to do. You just deliver content to your students the way you normally would. Use what you find interesting, use what you find uninteresting. And maybe that's what's interesting about it is the fact that you're like, oh, this is stupid, whatever this is. And, you'll see activity by activity that they'll kind of buy in, but I found myself more interested by what I was teaching. And I was already interested in it because I was teaching it. But like, that stuff that we go, oh, today I have to teach Poner and the preterite. It's the worst. Like, no, you don't have to do that. Like, I mean, eventually maybe do it. Like, but you don't have to like section off a day to do a thing and then close the book on it. Like it's, today isn't like Yo Puse day. Like you can, God, it's a whole day, isn't it? You can do whatever, like you can, it can come into jaja jueves or música miércoles or whatever the thing is. Like, I think starting small really is the best advice. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to see if we missed anything. What I should have linked was Claudia's calendar talk. I'm going to link her Facebook page.
Yeah, she did a real great video. I think last week or a couple of weeks ago. Yes. It was really good.
What's the name of her? I always get the name of their Facebook group wrong.
Claudia is the Growing with CI.
Growing. I never remember the first part, and I'm always like, working with CI.
Yeah, Claudia is the Growing with CI.
Yeah, she's got. If you want, Marina, right? Claudia is the actual best. So that's the link to her Facebook group. And then I believe she's got 3,000 members. Listen, it's growing. She's getting awfully popular. So you can add that. She's got a bunch of calendar things. And she also, like when I say growing with CI, she's super like gradual with things. It's really comfortable. You can ask anything. Everyone's at all kind of different levels of like trying to wean themselves off of something. So yeah, she's incredible. And she shares a lot of really, really accessible stuff.
Yeah, and she does a lot of webinars and
incredible. Right, shares everything. Incredible. Angela, my only last question for you is, how do you decide what to? And I know we're in the after party now. how do you decide? Because obviously, like, you're active on Twitter, as am I. You're active on Facebook. You and I both do like ridiculous amounts of PD. We're like, hi, I'm there. Like, what's up? What do you need? How do you decide what to keep? And like, you see something cool and you go, oh, that's neat. I love that resource, or I love that like strategy. How do you decide what to keep and how to go, and what to decide, and maybe next year, and like file away? Is there any way that you kind of keep it all straight? Because so many people share so many incredible things.
Yeah. First, I kind of really think about, okay, what objective, what is it that I want the students to do? So for example, I saw somebody posted like these paragraph frames, and I bookmarked it for later. And so I was like, well, what am I really going to use this for?
Right.
I want the students to describe something, or is this more like informational, or is this more like storytelling? So I really try to think of what like literacy genre it could fit best in.
Right.
And so that really kind of helps me to kind of narrow down like what is it that I really want to bring attention to, how do I really kind of want this to fit into what I'm doing.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was gonna say, it like bleeds into what you do, because you start really reflecting on it. Like, what is it that I like about this? What is it that we can talk about? And then if Janine says, like, I'm thinking of like, I've made weeknight, like the weekend chat. My colleague made weekday chat. So now she's added, like, she's taken Bethany's template and basically made everything you could possibly do on a weeknight. So there were like 40 different things. It's like, I went to practice, I played chess, I drank water. Like, oh my God, it's everything. So every day I'm like, so what'd you do last night? I'm so tired of asking them what they did last night. but that's what prompts like the different conversations.
Right,
so it's like,
yeah. And see, sometimes, they may say something and it may take you like on a whole nother tangent. Right. And you never know.
Like, oh, who got video juegos? Me too. I didn't. But like, oh my God. Or like different. Yeah, I mean, a lot of them do the same things, but it's funny. Like, even just like Kelly said in the chat too, like, you get into the point where you get really comfortable with one strategy. Now your lesson plan consists of incorporating these things that really are interesting to you and to the kids. And now you've brought in your relationships. Yep. You've brought in like all of those other pieces of you that you bring to the table, and there you go. That's it. Like, that's what teaching is all about. Is it's all the things together. Like, we don't have, sure, maybe we have a theme. Maybe it's like, oh, we're talking about clothing, but really we're also learning about each other in the way that, we're going to exchange the following information.
Yeah. And I've really found, that really incorporating, CI into my practice, it's really helped to really build those connections. We're really able to kind of have those in the moment conversations. Yep. Versus, looking at like an exercise, okay, exercise 3, what's Juan wearing? We can really talk about the kids in the room, in front of us. And, really, make those connections. So I've really found that to be so much more meaningful and impactful.
That's so true. What is Juan wearing? Who can nobody see Juan? Why are we talking about what Juan? The only people that benefit from the like, what are you wearing, Angela? What do you are people who can't see. Like, literally, our blind and hard of sight impaired students are the only ones that benefit from what are you wearing? It's like an obscene phone call in the 80s. Like, what are you wearing? What are you wearing? This is creepy. Why are we doing these prompts? They're like, what are you wearing right now? I can see you. I can see you're wearing gym shorts. Like, but I agree. Like, to me, comprehensible input and proficiency both made me a better teacher, because I became like a better listener. I was paying more attention to the materials I was using. I was like doing all these different things where before I might have been like, okay, this will take 20 minutes. It'll take 10 minutes. I'm just pacing it out. Like, I'm filling time. And then when I was looking at like, how can I actually stay comprehensible and what actually helps you on your journey to proficiency? It was like, oh, well, not most of what I was doing. Yeah. So
what's going to help me connect, with the students, what's going to help me, connect with me. And so just really, thinking about that, because that's one of our 5 C's, connection.
Right.
And so
right.
I really think that really using the language in comprehensible ways, making it relevant, really, really helps to foster that versus, the 50 vocab list and the textbook exercises that really are just so out of context for these kids. So that's my 2 cents.
What would Angela have put if she had known? And you're like, I don't know, who is that? I don't. Yeah, like it's right out of context, like 100%. Angela, I can't, dude. Okay, first of all, when I come down to Savannah, I owe you. Dinner's
You're welcome,
on me.
Anytime.
Dinner's on me. First of all, I'll message you. No, thank you so much for everything. I'm sorry I went into the after party, but literally, like, I could, like Parker just said, was like, learning lots. Parker, take it all. Like, I'm telling you, a couple of those resources, like
it's some of the webinars previously, I have watched them like 3 times. Like they were just so good, and that you can't get it all the first time, you can't get it all the second time.
I know. I've watched each one. I've rewatched it as I'm uploading, and I'm like, oh, why would I have said that? Oh well, too late. Like, and then I'm like, oh, why didn't we tweet that? And then I'm like going like, hold on, making a note to myself, like, we should have said this. Can I tweet it 2 months later? Is this weird? If I'm like, yes, thank you. Agreed. Kelly, thank you. Okay. Well, then I literally have 7 tweets in drafts right now that I'm like, probably, does it look like I missed it? I did miss it. I missed it the first time. Like, cause you're in the thing. Dude, so many nuggets, and we're so lucky. Yes, Janine, we're so lucky that you're here in Georgia. Obviously, like listen, dinner's on me next time. I'm going to come down soon. I'll message you, Berta, and you and we're going to go out. Okay. Because I super owe you. I'm so thankful for your time, for your effort, for your energy, all the things, and all you share, which is always incredible. So, like eat your hearts out, other states. Okay. You think about that. So there. Angela, will you be at AATSP? Do you know?
At the moment, no.
Okay.
Just because so much, is going on, but you never know. I could pop up.
if you just pop up, let me know. I know a place. Ding. That you could come over and hang out. Yeah, no, totally. Please, like, let me know if you go to ATSP, because it's going to be here in Atlanta. And it's really weird that it's going to be in person. Everything else is calling, like, we're going to be virtual for the fall, and AATSP is like July. We're doing it. Okay, no problem. So I'm looking forward to it. But we're super, super fortunate for you to be here, and thank you for all the links and all the things. Is it okay if we share your slides at all? Is it okay to share?
Yeah. I made it to share, so share it.
Thank you. I'm trying to think if I have the link or if you have the link. Regardless, I'll let you know if I don't. Okay. But that would be awesome. And then I will share all of the links shared in the chat on the Wakelet page, and we'll upload the video and we'll rock and roll. So
perfect. Thank you so much. I have thoroughly enjoyed this series. And so I really hope, that we can, keep it up. Like maybe do like a winter version.
Can we talk about that? I literally was just telling Joe the other day, I was like, summer series, like fall series. Can we keep hanging out? Janine, we're best friends now. Do you know this? It's like all the repeat attenders. I'm like, Kelly, Giovanna, we're all good, right? Okay. See you tomorrow. Right. Thank you. Christina's in. Like, guys, we're all hanging out now.
We're all friends.
Yeah. This went from spring series to just like year-long.
Yeah. There's the whole year.
Now this is just what we do. So welcome for free. Yay. Awesome. Okay. Well, I appreciate you. Happy Thursday. Have a good Friday. I'll be in touch. All the things. Thank you. Angela, you're the best.
All right. Thank you.